It's Monday night on 919 and it's the Sandton Times Hour coming up right now.
And now, from Greater Sandton and beyond, get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, welcome to the Sandton Times Hour. It's edition 186. It's week 11 of 2025. And if you want to catch the show outside of our usual FM broadcast, well, you can do so by checking out the podcast on all leading digital audio channels, including Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Party, Iono FM, and so many more. I'm Alexander Leibner, and welcome to everyone listening for the very first time. Pull up a chair, join us for the next hour on the Sandton Times Hour, and make yourself comfortable. And if you're listening online or on air, as well as our Sandton Times following in Johannesburg and Pretoria, across South Africa and everywhere else in the world. Yes, we have quite a few listeners in Nigeria, Qatar, New Zealand, Australia, Germany, the UK, the United States. Everyone checking in on Sandton. It's great to have you there. Well, wherever you are, I'm happy to report that, things are okay in Sandton land this week. If you've been following the news this past week, in Sandton has been somewhat lively. And a couple of one unfortunate incident that took place, but we're going to get into that in just a bit. Before we do that, I would like to hear from you. So if you'd like to get in touch and send through your questions or your comments or your feedback, you can do so by emailing editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect on social media at Sandton Times and also hop onto the website www.sandtontimes.co.za. And also don't forget to save our exclusive WhatsApp number for the Sandton Times, 084 Sandton. That's 084 726 3866, 084 726 3866. And feel free to send through your voice notes, text messages, or whatever else comes to mind. And Vincenzo, good to have you behind the mixing desk again. Ciao.
You know, one of my favorite memories, Alexander, of Madiba is, how he would sit and listen to you whenever you made a submission or you tried to explain something to him, or, you engaged with him. People brought all kinds of problems to him. And then he would just sit attentively with his hand on his chin and listen attentively throughout your submission. And at the end, he would just simply say something like, very well, yes, I see. And that meant that he heard you and he observed completely in that moment, but it didn't mean that he necessarily agreed with you at that point. So taking in all the information, and that is what he learned as a small boy. His first childhood memory was about learning the art to listen.
When I was on Netflix, I very quickly after decided that I was very deliberately going to start touring. I went to America, I went to London, just to try the different scenes. And I was going to use that as a way to get in the door. And for sure, it helped me get in the door, with like promoters and people who were putting on shows. It gave me a certain status, but the people in the audience had never heard of me. And in fact, I think it made things worse because in New York, for example, the host would say, our next comedian, you've seen her on Netflix. And then I would come, they would expect to see like, Ali Wong or something. And then I'd come out and they'd be like, who is this person? So I actually had to tell them to stop saying that I'm on Netflix because the expectations were so high. They thought they were like about to see Chris Rock and then they'd see me,
Without journalists, without journalism, there is no working democracy. And this is what's being done. Journalists are being silenced. And not only journalists. This is a problem with assassinations in general, is when you assassinate, when you kill somebody, you're not just taking away a human life, you're also instilling a sense of fear.
We have famous actors here all the time and funny stories, where, we'll send them for a recce on the location. The location owner kind of opens the door and there's a famous person saying there, like, why didn't you warn me? And that's where the dinner party talk comes in, so that I had Miley Cyrus here, or Clint Eastwood was directing a movie recently and we sent him to the location. The homeowner was like, oh my gosh, I opened my front door and there was Clint Eastwood, so we get a lot of them. And luckily, because of the price difference they come all the way from the US to shoot in our country because, of course, the rand is so favorable for them. And we've got this huge diversity of locations, which is so attractive for them.
From a young age, I had to learn forgiveness and compassion. Because when you are often pushed aside or excluded, it's very easy to get angry, and I did go through that. But when you go through life, you don't want to go through life angry. You want to be at peace. So I made my peace a long time ago. Not everyone is going to understand me. Not everyone's going to accept me. And also that people don't mean well. Sometimes they do mean well. They just don't know how to do well.
Causes me to look up in awe and wonder and to say, wow, there's something bigger than us. There's something much bigger than us. We need to look up and not have our eyes transfixed only on terra firma, where things can be so dismal, but to look up. You know, we have our own Olympic Games, Alex, in the stars. We have our own Olympic Games, the fireworks taking place in the night skies. And it's my dream that Sandton Times listeners might partake of the great excitement which pervades my soul.